Unchained Capital is a company that allows you to set up a Bitcoin vault to secure your funds using something called Multisig. In this setup, Unchained themselves cannot move your funds by themselves, but in an instance where you lose some of your credentials, they can step in to help you. Today, we're going to take a look at how to set up an Unchained Bitcoin vault, how to use it, send and withdrawal, and we're also going to talk about the benefits and trade-offs of using Unchained. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, of course, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, Shakepay.com. If you're in Canada and you're buying Bitcoin, this is a super easy way to do it. E-transfers in and out, no deposit or withdrawal fees. They cover the Bitcoin mining fee for you as well. Thin spread. And if you use the link down below, you can sign up for Shakepay, buy your first $100 worth of Bitcoin, and they'll give you $30 for free. You get the same deal if friends and family sign up with your link. And beyond that, you can shake your phone every single day for free sats. They also have a sats back Visa card, so I highly recommend check them out in the show notes. Up next, we have LEDN.io. This is a great place where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. In the past, I primarily used this in an instance where I needed to get my hands on dollars, but I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin. I was able to deposit here, get a loan of dollars to my bank account within 24 hours, and when I pay those back, I get back the same amount of Bitcoin. They also have savings accounts for Bitcoin and USDC. If you sign up down below and fund your account, you'll get $10 for free. And they're getting into Bitcoin-backed mortgages. Pretty awesome. They're starting here in Canada, and then they're going to be expanding to a few US states to start. So keep an eye out for that and check them out down below. Up next, we have Bitrefill.com. It makes living on Bitcoin super, super easy. And I would know because I do. You can purchase any Bitcoin or any gift card your little heart desires with Bitcoin, both on-chain and via Lightning Network. You earn sats back as you shop, and you can also earn extra sats back with their referral program. Beyond that, they are beginning to roll out bill payments in the US. So if you want to live on the Bitcoin standard, Bitrefill is the place for you to go. Up next, Keystone Wallet, one of my favorite most used hardware wallets because it's 100% air gapped, meaning you never plug it into anything internet connected. And that keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connection. You do everything via QR code, so it's scanning back and forth. Makes for a really easy workflow, awesome in a multi-sig, and all around great product. Definitely upgrade to the Bitcoin only firmware and check them out. I do have a full tutorial for them as well. And finally, if you're backing up any important Bitcoin wallet, you're going to want to get it in something a little bit more secure than just a piece of paper. So the BillFodl over at privacypros.io has you covered. Solid steel helps you with things like fire damage, water damage, or just accidentally discarding the thing because it's a piece of paper. Not so with a solid piece of steel. And this is how I back up my important hardware wallets or any important Bitcoin wallet. With that, let's dive into the show. Let's discuss exactly what a multisig vault is. A multisig vault is effectively a digital vault in which you can store your Bitcoin, and it requires multiple keys to unlock it and access your funds. So for instance, maybe you have a Coldcard, a Trezor, and a Ledger, or any combination of three of these, okay? What you would do is you'd be using software that takes little bits of information from each one of those keys. That information is used to not only create your vault, but to also create a map to digitally find your vault. And that map is important, and we'll come to that later on. But let's take a look at what this would look like in practice. So here's our three devices and the backups of those devices. And when you put them all together, the bits of information create the three parts of this digital map to your vault. Now, the vault itself, to unlock it, only needs two of these keys at a time, and it can be any two, doesn't matter what combination. So you've actually got 6 pieces of information here. You've got a ledger and the backup to it, the Trezor, a backup to it, a Coldcard, the backup to it. And so this gives you a lot of play in what you can actually lose and still be okay. Now, the map itself is also a file, and you can create copies of that and store it securely. And it is important that you keep copies of that map, and we'll figure out how that works in a moment. But let's say you have the map, you have the file to access your funds. What could you lose and still be able to move funds? Well, effectively, depending on the combination, you could lose up to 4 out of 6 of these items and still be all right. All that's important is that you have 2 of the keys. All right. So you would need perhaps your ledger and the backup to your Trezor, or your Coldcard and your Trezor, or the backup to your ledger and the backup to your Coldcard. As long as you have a piece of 2 different keys, you will have enough to approve and sign transactions and move funds out of your vault. The only issue would be if you lost 4 things and those 4 things were the entirety of 2 different keys. So let's say you lost the Trezor and its backup, the Coldcard and its backup. Well, now you only have the ledger and its backup, and that's only a single key. So you don't have enough to sign the transaction anymore. Now, the tricky bit here comes in with the map itself. I said earlier, it's important that you have a copy or copies of the map. Now, why is that? Well, if you lose the map, you will need to have all 3 keys to recreate it so that you can locate and unlock your vault. Now, you can have any combination of pieces of these keys. You could have your ledger and your Trezor, and maybe you lost your Coldcard, so you've only got the backup for that. And that's fine. You can recreate your map with a piece of each key. But you can see you would require your ledger or your backup, your Trezor or your backup, your Coldcard or your backup to get a piece of each part of the map in order to recreate it. So it can be a little daunting for some people to manage this on your own. And this is where Unchained can come in and kind of prevent some of that uncertainty around storage of these types of files and make things a hell of a lot easier. So let's dive into what they do. Unchained Capital effectively takes you through the process of setting up your own multisig vault. And the way that they act in this situation is they are the key holder of just one of the keys involved in this setup, as well as the backup for it. And they also hold a copy of the map to your vault. Now, with this information, they can only sign one signature out of the 2 that are needed, meaning Unchained themselves cannot move your funds without your permission. You, on the other hand, would have 2 keys, and you could move your funds freely without their permission. Even if Unchained wanted to stop you from moving your funds, they could not. So in that instance, let's take a look at our map again and see what that looks like. In that instance, let's say Unchained was the ledger and the backup. They have a copy of the map and they just have this one key. You have the other 2. So you can move your funds with your 2 keys at any time, and you would have a copy of the map as well. However, let's see how badly you could screw up and still be okay. Well, you've got 4 things here, right? You've got the Trezor, you've got the Coldcard, you've got a backup of each. You could lose 75% of the things that you're supposed to take care of and still be okay. Because if you just had the Trezor left, you could go to Unchained and say, hey, I need you to sign this transaction and be my second key so that I can move my funds. And they would do that for you. Furthermore, if something bad were to happen to you as an individual and you were no longer around, but you wanted your next of kin to have access, all they need to do is come with the proper documentation to Unchained, and a single piece of that, one of the keys, and say, hey, we don't understand how this works, but we have this device and we need to start going through the process of moving these funds. And Unchained could help along with that process. So really, you could have geographically dispersed keys amongst family members or next of kin, and they would not be able to move anything by themselves. But in the event that anything happened to you, the people with the legal rights to those assets would then be able to go to Unchained and figure things out with them. Now, of course, setups like this, they sound very complicated. So why would somebody want to do this? Well, it makes you resistant to actual physical attacks. So what do I mean by physical attack? I mean somebody kicking open your door and getting a hold of one of your devices and either trying to crack that device and extract your private keys and be able to spend your funds, or forcing you to sign transactions. Now, how does it prevent that? Well, because you need multiple devices, and you wouldn't have access to both of these. You're not going to store these in the same place. You're going to store them separately, as well as the backups to them. And in that instance, somebody in your house accessing this device, well, you just straight up cannot give the credentials for them to steal all your money. In fact, this device by itself, you wouldn't even be able to tell that it's part of a multi-sig setup. You wouldn't be able to tell that it's part of a larger vault. There's not enough information here. You could technically load one of the devices with a decoy amount, or both of the devices with a decoy amount, so that when they loaded them up normally on a computer, on a mobile phone, all they would see is that decoy amount, and they would think that's all the Bitcoin that you have. They'd be able to move that out, feel like they got what they came for, and then the rest would remain secure in your multi-sig vault. Let's talk prerequisites. What are you going to need to know in order to dive into Unchained Capital and start utilizing multisig? Well, in this video, I'm going to be utilizing 2 different hardware wallets, but Unchained can handle 3 different ones. So number 1, you're going to need to understand how a hardware wallet works. And beyond that, I'm assuming at this point that the hardware wallet you're going to be utilizing is already set up and has a backup. Now, if this is not the case for you and you want to learn about these devices first, then I recommend checking out the videos I've linked down below for each one of the possible hardware wallets you could be using with Unchained. Those are the Coldcard, the Ledger, and the Trezor. So again, I've got full tutorials for all of those on how to set them up on their own and get started with those. Now, in terms of what you can use and in what combination with Unchained you can use these devices, I'm going to be using today the Trezor and the Coldcard. However, you can mix and match however you want. You can do 2 Coldcards, 2 Trezors, 2 Ledgers, a Trezor and a Ledger, a Ledger and a Coldcard. Really, whatever mix and match you want to do is totally fine. It does not matter, and it will work with Unchained. So do this as you see fit and choose the device or devices that best fit your needs. With those concepts having been explored, let's dive into the Unchained platform itself and see about setting up our first multi-sig vault. So here we are on Unchained Capital, and we've already signed up, logged in, and created our account. Everything's all set here. And so when you first log in, you're just going to be in your home screen, and you're going to see a chart of the Bitcoin price. And over on the left-hand side, the tab here, you'll see your portfolio. Of course, we don't have one yet, so it gives us the option to create a vault. You can access the same thing over here on the left-hand side if you click Vaults, and then you hit Create a New Vault. So both will do the same thing. So first things first, you're going to choose a custody model. There is client controlled and there's multi-institution. Client controlled would be you holding 2 keys and Unchained holding 1, so that them by themselves cannot move your funds, and you will always be able to move your funds by yourself. Multi-institution means you hold a key, Unchained holds a key, and another institution holds a key, so that you need to cooperate with one of these 2 to move your funds. Personally, I prefer client controlled. And yeah, we're going to go with that. So we'll hit next. Now it's going to ask you to choose the default signers. Okay, so you can always change this at a later date, but basically who's going to sign transactions typically? And so sign your own means that you will typically use both your keys to sign a transaction, and that's kind of the default unless something else comes up. And Unchained cosigns means that you have a single key and Unchained uses their key by default for each transaction unless you choose a different setup for a particular one. Okay, so I'm going to choose sign your own and hit next. And then we're going to give the vault a name. I'm just going to leave it as vault number 1, but you can do whatever you choose. Now, this is where we're going to be setting up a key. So we see cosigner, cosigner, and backup, and that's with Unchained. So we're going to set up a key, and we're going to be dealing with our Trezor first. So we've got a setup Trezor plugged in, and I've already entered my PIN code when it booted up. And now on Unchained, we're going to hit pick key. We're going to hit new key, and we're going to give the key a name. We'll just call it Trezor. And we'll hit next. Then we're going to choose our hardware wallet. Okay, well, we've got a Trezor in this instance. All right, we're going to hit connect to Trezor. This is going to bump us to a screen, and we're going to allow once for this session. We're going to hit export. And then there is no passphrase, so we're just going to leave this blank. Now, if you did have an enabled passphrase on the device itself, you would type it there. But we didn't have a passphrase on this Trezor. It says, hey, exported public key. Here we go. We're going to hit next. We're going to hit create. There we go. So we've already set up the Trezor as one of the keys for our vault. Next, we'll move to our Coldcard. Okay, so we now have our Coldcard plugged in. I've already put in my PIN number and everything here, and this was previously set up, so I've got a backup for it and everything. Now on Unchained, I'm again going to hit for the second slot, pick a key. I'm going to hit new key. We're going to name this one as well, so we'll just call it Coldcard, and we'll hit next. All right, we're going to choose the type of wallet. Of course, it is a Coldcard. And then we're going to upload the XPub. Now, there's a little bit more dealing with the Coldcard because of the nature of how it works. So let's look at the Coldcard itself and see how that's going to work. Now, with the Coldcard here, I'm going to go down to settings. Then I'm going to go down to Multisig wallets. Now we're going to hit export XPub. This is going to create a file, and it will export it to the SD card on our Coldcard. Okay, so now there's a file with a file name listed here that's on our SD card. We're going to plug that into our computer so that we can upload it to Unchained. So back on Unchained, I'm going to hit upload XPub. I'm going to go to my SD card that I plugged in, and this is the file that was exported from the Coldcard. I'm going to hit open. All right, we're going to hit next. All right, everything's good there. We're going to hit create. Success. We now have both keys ready to create our vault. We'll hit next here. We're going to agree to the terms of service. You can obviously read through that. Hit create. All right, and now it says Coldcard users, if you're using a Coldcard to protect your vault, you'll need to download the configuration file for your device. This step can be completed later, but you will need to download this file in order to sign with your Coldcard device. If you're not using Coldcard, continue to the vault. We are going to do this right now. Basically, the reason for this is Coldcard functions as an air-gapped device, meaning it's not communicating data over the cord that it's plugged in with to Unchained. And so the Trezor, all of the information about the vault itself, like the map to the vault, is communicated as you utilize it. Whereas Coldcard, you need to get that information to the Coldcard via the SD card. So I'm going to hit configure. We're going to download that file, and I'm going to drag it onto my SD card, and we'll plug that into the Coldcard and see what that looks like. So just showing here, this was the file that I downloaded from Unchained, and this is the folder for my SD card. And so this is what I'm going to be plugging in to the Coldcard momentarily. Okay, so back on our Coldcard, we're going to once again go all the way down to settings, and then Multisig wallets. And then we're going to choose import from SD. All right, it says there's only one file to choose from, and we'll just select that one. There it is. We'll hit OK. Now it says, do you want to create a new multisig wallet? And this gives a default name to it. Policy is a 2 of 3 multisig. You scroll down, you can see all of the information regarding how this vault works. We'll hit check mark. Fantastic. And now we can see it listed as one of our multisig wallets that is available here. I had one previously that I was working with. Otherwise, if you didn't, you wouldn't see an additional one here. You would just see the 6QP, the whatever your vault was named by default. So anyways, we've now uploaded the information we need to our Coldcard, and that enables us to sign any transaction with this device. Now that we're done with the Coldcard, we can just X out of this. And here we are. We are officially in our vault. We can now deposit funds into our vault, and we will be able to withdraw them using our 2 keys. So let's dive into actually doing that next. So from your vault screen, you're going to hit the deposit button. And then it says, hey, this is your vault deposits. They're just going to be stored in a 2 of 3 multisig address. This address will not change unless you withdraw or transfer funds. So we're going to hit show address. And this gives us a QR code that you could scan from any mobile wallet that you may have. But alternatively, if you're dealing with desktop wallet, or if you're sending directly from an exchange, you can simply copy and paste the address down below by clicking on it. All right, at this point, I'm going to jump over to a desktop wallet that I use for a lot of these tutorials. Side note, I do have a full tutorial on Sparrow wallet. If you're curious about this particular one, I'll leave that down below, but I digress. I'm on the send screen here, so I'm just going to paste in that address that I copied from Unchained. I'll leave a note that it's going to Unchained, and then I'll choose my amount. Just over $60 US I'm sending over. Okay, so I will adjust my fee. Everything looks all good. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to hit create transaction, and I will send it off. Okay, so with that transaction now sent, it should soon be reflected in my Unchained vault, I believe after one confirmation. So we'll jump over here, we'll close this out, and we'll go back to our home. Now, if you do click on vaults, and then you click on the vault itself again, you'll see transaction history. There's a deposit. It's pending a confirmation for 0.002 BTC, or 200,000 sats. And so again, that will be reflected after the confirmation. You can also see it up top in the left here where it says a total balance, a confirmed balance rather, and then it says plus 0.002 because it's pending a confirmation. So again, we'll be back when that confirms. So we've now got a confirmation on that transaction. We can now see it reflected on our dashboard in our portfolio. So we can see 0.002 Bitcoin. We see a dollar amount, the value of what's sitting there. We also see down below Vault 1, and the balance and all of that. So that could be clicked from here, or again, we can go to the left-hand side, click vaults, and choose it from there. Either way, we get to the same place. In our vault, again, we see the balance updated. We see the deposit is now official and is confirmed. And we now have the withdraw button enabled to be used. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do next. So first we're going to withdraw, and we're going to try with our Trezor. So from our vault, we're going to hit withdraw. And we need a withdrawal address. Where are the funds going to? So I'm going to go and grab that from Sparrow wallet again. I've already got an address set here to receive to. So I'll just copy that and I will paste it in here and hit next. Now, how much Bitcoin am I going to be using or sending? So I'm going to go 0.001. So half of what we have in here. And now we're going to choose our fee rate. Now you can do the recommended. High priority, we'll get it into the next block. But if you're not in a rush, you can choose lower priorities if you want, or you can go custom and you can set your sats per byte if you so see fit. So I'm just going to go with the recommended fee here, and I'm going to hit next. Now it asks, how would you like to sign? What are you going to be using? And for this instance, we're going to use the Trezor and the Coldcard. Okay, we're not using Unchained to sign with anything. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to hit next. And so it says, all right, we are going to be from our current balance signing with the Coldcard and the Trezor. We're going to be sending to this address. This is how much we're sending. This is the estimate on your fee, and your fee rate is 3 sats per byte. Let's create the transaction. Okay. So now it says that we are going to be choosing a key, and then we're going to choose which hardware wallet we're going to sign it with. Now we labeled these based on the hardware wallet we're using, but you might have named it key 1 and key 2 or whatever it may be. Anyways, we're going to choose the first key, and we're going to use our Trezor to sign it. And now we're going to hit the sign with Trezor button. We have it already plugged in, although it is locked right now. So really quick, I'll just show you. So we're just going to put in our pin here, and then this is just set to a default pin for tutorials. Okay, so it's now unlocked. We'll jump back to Unchained, and we're going to hit sign with Trezor. And this is going to open up a new window. We're going to hit allow once for this session. And then there's no passphrase on this Trezor unless you've set that up. When you set up your Trezor, it will not be entered here. So you're just going to hit enter. And now we're going to check the device itself. So I'll enlarge that for you to see. And it says, hey, you're sending 0.001 Bitcoin to this address. Confirm or deny. We'll hit the check mark. Confirm sending the remaining, this is the change, back to your address in Unchained. Yes. And then total amount, including the fee, all of that looks good. We'll hold to confirm. And there we go. So we've successfully signed the first part of the transaction, and I'll show you the update on Unchained itself. It now says signed on key 1. Now we're going to go ahead and sign with the Coldcard. Okay, so for the Coldcard, again, we're going to choose our hardware wallet, which of course is Coldcard. Now, at this point, we're going to download what's known as a partially signed Bitcoin transaction, which I've detailed in my tutorial down below. Just know that if you're using 2 Trezors or 2 ledgers in this setup, then this won't apply to you, but for those Coldcard users, this is for you. So I download this partially signed Bitcoin transaction, and simultaneously, I'm going to take out the SD card from my Coldcard and plug it into my computer so I can load up this transaction for it. And again, just so you can see it, this is my SD card on my computer, and I've just dragged over that file onto it so that I can plug it in to the Coldcard. So from your Coldcard, once you've plugged the SD card in with the partially signed Bitcoin transaction, really simple, from the main screen, you're going to choose the first option, ready to sign. Now it's going to check the SD card for transactions. And then it takes a look and it says, hey, it looks like you're trying to send 0.001 Bitcoin to the following address, which you can scroll down to see. It will give you further information about the transaction fee, so on and so forth, and the change that'll be going back and where to. If you approve all that, you just hit the check mark. It will now sign the transaction and says, hey, the updated signed one is now called the following. And you can go ahead and just make note of that because that'll be on the SD card momentarily. 1610, 6 QPM. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to hit check. And that bumps me back out to my main screen. I can now take out the SD card, get it on the computer, and upload it to Unchained. So I'm back on Unchained. I have already plugged in my SD card, so I'm going to hit upload, and I can see 1610 SQPM part. That's the one that's signed, and I'm going to hit open. And success. So I've got both transactions that are both signers or both signatures down below. You can see them in green. Everything is set here. And all I need to do to finish this is hit broadcast. And this will send it out to the Bitcoin network to be confirmed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Perfect. Broadcast success. We should see that pop into our Sparrow wallet in just a moment here. And there we go. There's the notification. We go to transactions. We can see it right here, ready to come into the wallet. So I wanted to also show that it's not necessary to use Unchained to spend out of this vault. And so I just want to first take a look here within my vault section where it says transact. You have your deposit, withdraw, and transfer. Transfer would be if you had a secondary vault that you wanted to transfer over to. So there's three little dots here. And if you tap on those, there's something that says external spend info. So we're going to hit that. And this allows you to download what I was referring to earlier as the map to your digital vault. And so this allows you to essentially use this Multisig vault without the Unchained website and spend externally. So if the website went down, this is the map you would need to access it. At current time, so far with this vault, Unchained is the only entity that holds a copy of this map. So you're going to want to download this no matter what anyways. So you're just going to hit download. This is going to download a file that can be utilized a handful of places. And let's take a look at where you can utilize it. This is Caravan. This was created by Unchained Capital. It is open source software, and it is a stateless multi-sig coordinator, meaning it doesn't retain any of the information that you utilize in your wallet. It just allows you to upload a wallet and then utilize your hardware devices to send, sign, receive transactions. So the way this works is we're going to hit wallet here. By the way, you access this by going to unchained-capital.github.io/caravan. And you can now import a wallet configuration once you've hit that button. And we're going to go ahead and open up the file that we just downloaded from Unchained. So we open up this wallet configuration file that we've downloaded, or the map to your money. And now we can utilize this wallet. We'll just hit public. We'll hit confirm. And so this will show our balance, our transactions, all of that stuff is available here. So we can see our addresses right here. And there's some Bitcoin sitting in there. We've got a receive address right here. And we can send from this screen. And it's much the same as utilizing Unchained Capital website. It just looks a little bit different. So if we want to receive funds, obviously there's a QR code that you can utilize, or you can tap on it to copy the address and paste it into a wallet and send however you want. To send out here, I hit the send screen. I can paste in an address that I'd like to send to. I type in the amount that I'd like to send. I set my fee rate, and then I sign with my my devices. So let's just take a look at what that looks like. I'll go here to Sparrow Wallet and hit receive, and we'll just copy this address. You'll see how it works here. So I'll hit max so that I can send out all of the funds if I wanted to. We'll just leave the fee because again, we're not gonna send this, but it gives us a summary of that transaction. Then we can go ahead and if it looks good, hit sign transaction. At this point, we're gonna hit select key, and these keys are labeled. Unchained, we don't have that key, of course, but we do have the Trezor and the Coldcard. So we're gonna hit Trezor is method 1, and we're going to, it then asks, okay, so that's the name of the key, but what device is it? So we'll hit Trezor again. Okay, and then when we hit sign, it's going to bump us to that same screen where we have to plug in our device and approve the transaction. Okay, now we're not going to go ahead and sign this right now, so I'll cancel out of that. We'll just refresh here. We'll go back to that screen where we were creating a transaction. And same kind of thing with the Coldcard. So I'll paste the transaction. We'll just say max amount. We'll leave the fee rate. We'll preview. Again, it gives us everything that we're about to do. We'll hit sign transaction. I'm going to choose Coldcard. And then the method will be Coldcard as well. And then same thing, we would download the transaction, put it on our SD card, sign it, and then upload the signed transaction here. So the exact same thing, you get the signatures, you send them out, but this is how you can actually send out of your vault without the help of Unchained and without the Unchained website. Furthermore, you can use the same file to actually utilize your Unchained vault with Sparrow Wallet itself. So if I go File and I import wallet, then I'm going to see where it says Caravan Multisig. We're going to use the same file that we just downloaded from Unchained. We have Vault 1, we'll hit Create Wallet, and we're not going to put a password for this one. And it will just scan the blockchain for any previous transactions, and it will load them here. There we go. Okay, so we can now see the incoming transaction for 200,000, the outgoing transaction that we sent back to our other Sparrow wallet right here. And this allows us to, again, go ahead and send transactions out. So as I was saying before, if I wanted to receive to this other Sparrow wallet that I've got open, I can go ahead, I can paste in the receiving address, I can type in a label for myself, I can spend the max amount, set my fee, so on and so forth. I can create that transaction, and then I can get my signatures. You can see there's these 2 bars here that allow you to sign. We're actually going to go ahead and sign these transactions now. So first, we're going to save the transaction. And we'll just save it to our SD card, which we do have plugged in right now. And we'll deal with the Coldcard first. So we're going to save it here. Test wallet PSBT. So we'll save that. Great. And now we'll jump to the Coldcard. Just as before, we're going to hit ready to sign. And now it says, hey, there's 3 to pick from, 3 different transactions you could sign. So if you've kept old transactions on this SD card, you'll have to choose which ones you want. Okay, we can see test wallet. That was the one that we were going to use. So we're going to choose that one. All right, reading, validating. Hey, it looks like you're sending this much Bitcoin to this address with the following fee. Does that all look good to you? I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. It's going to sign, and it says, hey, your updated file is called test wallet-part. So that's the one we're going to be looking for when we upload it to Sparrow Wallet. So I'll just hit the check mark, and we can take out the SD card and deal with it on the computer. Back in Sparrow, we're going to hit load transaction. And we've got the no-name SD card already pulled up. So remember, it was called test wallet part. We'll open that. And look, there's our signature for our Coldcard. Next, let's deal with our Trezor. All right, Trezor is plugged in and unlocked with our PIN. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use this sign button with anything connected. We're going to hit sign, scan. And now it prompts us on our Trezor, and I'll show this a little larger, prompts us on our Trezor to enter any passphrase we're using. We're not using one, so we'll just hit the green check mark here. Perfect. And then on our screen on our computer, it's then going to say sign. We'll hit that button. The Trezor is just going to load up our transaction. If everything looks good, hey, you're sending this much Bitcoin to this address, we hit the green check. And then we're going to hit the green check one more time. And finally, we'll hit hold to confirm. And we can see that the Trezor part of the signature is now approved with an Unchained, or within our Unchained vault that we're now imported to Sparrow, and we can broadcast this transaction. And off it goes, and we're getting our notifications. We got 2 notifications because we have both wallets open. One for the transaction going out of the vault, and one for the transaction coming into our test wallet, which we can see right here. So we have successfully sent from our Multisig vault without the help of Unchained. They didn't need to sign anything. And furthermore, we didn't even need to use the website in this instance, which is really nice and ensures that if anything were to happen to the Unchained website, as long as you download that coordinator setup, that file that I showed you, then you'll be able to interact with your funds with no need for any third party. Now within Unchained itself, if you do utilize different wallet software to send out of your vault, it will show up as external in your transaction history. It will still eventually be reflected in your balance. Everything will be all fine here, but it's just saying that this transaction was completed outside of your Unchained vault. So you didn't interact with this interface here, but it's the same wallet. Now let's explore just a few other things here within your Unchained Capital account. So if you go over to the left-hand side and you click on keys, you will see all of the keys that you've uploaded, the extended public keys or just the credentials for, to your account. Not including the ability to sign, but just them as available keys associated with vaults, or the ability to create a vault from said keys. Now, you can upload additional keys here and use them to create secondary and tertiary vaults if you see fit. So just to give an example of that, if I hit upload new key, I could give this key a new name, and why not? Let's just see what using the ledger would look like here. So we'll just name this ledger, and we'll hit next, and then we're going to choose ledger. And I've already got plugged into my computer, and I'll just get it up on the screen here, a ledger that I've unlocked with the PIN, and I've got everything set up. The only thing that you also need to do when utilizing your ledger is you need to make sure that you select the Bitcoin app and you open that up so it says application ready. All right. Outside of that, on Unchained, we're going to hit connect to ledger. Now it's going to give me a little notification here. I'm going to choose the one I'm dealing with. By the way, this is a Nano S, but it will work with a Nano X too. We'll hit connect. All right, export public key. We're going to hit next. Once again, create, success, and all good. We're set, and we can even check the key if we want. We'll hit check, ledger, connect to ledger. Good. Perfect. So we'll jump back to keys, and we can now see we have 3 available keys here. If we wanted to, we could jump over to vaults here, and we could create an entirely new vault, just as we did before, client controlled, And we could choose from any of the keys in any combination that we want. We could do a Coldcard and a ledger, or we could do the Trezor and the ledger, or whatever tickles our fancy. We could put together a new vault and have separate vaults with separate keys, and utilize them in the same way that we've seen with the previous examples. Now, a couple other things to note, one of which is the identity video and verification threshold. And what this does is your identity video, they get you to record a video of yourself saying something specific, so that they can see kind of what you look like in person. And this is a security mechanism if you choose to use it, because you can then use it in a verification threshold, which means you can set a percentage of the Bitcoin in your vault that you can move out without requiring verification from you. So maybe you're worried about somebody getting a hold of one of your keys and then asking Unchained to sign with their key to move your funds out. If you're worried about that potential outcome, maybe somebody again kicks in your door and says, "Hey, we're going to log on to Unchained with the one key that you have access to, and you're going to sign a transaction and move everything out." You can preset this threshold so that if you try to move out anything beyond a certain amount, then you will be required to create a video verification saying, "I approve said transaction for this amount moving out," so that you won't be doing it under duress. There are further things that you can do. I believe you can set like a duress word and so on and so forth. But nonetheless, it's just an extra layer of security that you can enable to prevent those situations of duress from losing all your Bitcoin. In terms of additional security settings, you can find this if you go to the top right where your initials are and go down to settings. And then this will bump you to this page where you can tap on the security tab. You can change your password from here. You can enable two-factor authentication, which is highly recommended, I would say, to be able to log into your account. And then again, identity and intent verification. This is where you would record your identity video from. So let's cover some final thoughts and the benefits and trade-offs of dealing with Unchained Capital here. Well, the benefits to me are pretty clear. This is for an individual that is worried about user error. So you're worried about user error or single points of failure, I should say. So in the single points of failure, obviously you might be worried about just having a singular hardware wallet and somebody getting a hold of that, or you lose the hardware wallet and the backup to it. And that's a nightmare scenario for you. And so Multisig ticks those boxes. User error also in terms of Multisig, perhaps you're worried about not being able to handle properly backing up the map to your Bitcoin, the map to your vault, as well as the devices and the backups for them. And you're worried about keeping enough of those pieces all together. Now, I should say there is still a good degree of fault tolerance in a multi-sig setup that you set up yourself. But in an instance of having Unchained, having the map and a key and a backup to that key where you can go to them and you can just monumentally screw up, like lose 75% of all of the stuff that you're supposed to keep and still pass with flying colors and be able to access your funds. That's pretty attractive to myself and to others that may be worried about those types of things. Now, what are the trade-offs here? Well, in the end, Unchained knows you. You're going to be signing up. There's KYC involved. You've got to have ID. You're signing up with an email address, so on and so forth. And beyond that, they know how much is sitting in that vault. So what is the worry there? Well, the previous thing you were correcting for user error and single points of failure. In this one, the worry may be state attack, right? You're no longer worried about an individual kicking in your door. You're worried about the state knocking on Unchained's door and saying, "Hey, does so-and-so have Bitcoin with you guys? And give us the information." That could be a worry for some. So I think when looking at this, I want to kind of make note of diversification of risk. And in this instance, the risk is state attack and user error or single points of failure. Okay, well, in this instance, if you're utilizing Unchained and you see state attack as a possible weakness, well, then you could still have an Unchained account where it's totally separate, and that's kind of your, in case something bad happens to me, my family can still access it, or in case I screw up and lose a bunch of keys, I can still access it. And then you can have your non-KYC bought through peer-to-peer markets, coin-joined, private, privacy-conscious stack, totally separate. And you can kind of divide your Bitcoin between the two, depending on how you weigh that risk, or evenly, or whatever the case may be, depending on your personal preferences. So again, Bitcoiners tend to be adversarial thinkers. And so when you're going down this path, it's important to consider many of these things. In the end, I think that Unchained Capital is a fantastic service. I can see why people gravitate towards it so much. It just gives peace of mind for those that are worried about it, that if they screw up a whole bunch, they'll still have like a signer of last resort. Or if something bad happens to them, their next of kin will be able to, even if they lose almost everything, come to Unchained with a single key and say, hey, here's proof that I am next of kin. Can you help me access these funds? And they will be able to. So let me know what you thought about Unchained. I'll leave a comment down below, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do like, subscribe, share. All those things really do help the channel. They help get content like this in front of more eyeballs. If you want to help the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors in the show notes down below. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. You head there, type in any amount you like, hit the tip button. You'll be greeted with a Lightning invoice, or if you prefer, tap the arrow to the right and you'll see a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.